to the workers, and it can keep the workers in a generally in a productive one. They can protect and maintain normal lives. Yes.
Well, Geoffrey, when you talk about productive employment, from your perspective of FUE as the employers, what is your analysis of productive employment?
Thank you for that question. Well, as Mr. Kalanda has said, productive employment is that employment that gives the laborer a decent standard of living by providing the basics. So decent employment cannot be divorced from work that meets the standards. I mean, the salary, so that the take home for that worker should be able to provide for him or herself plus the dependents.
Now, Okecho, when we talk about productive employment in Uganda, are people in productive employment or are people just in employment? Because some will tell you we are living hand to mouth. I don't know if that is also productive or not. What is your assessment of the current situation?
Thank you, my brother, for the question. Once again, I'm John Okecho, Chairman General Central Organization Free Trade Unions. The productive employment in Uganda, the truth is, it is wanting. Because when you explain the definition of productive employment, it is about the sufficient returns to the laborers or the workers. And whereby when you look at the working people in Uganda, they are all below the what? The level of what? So you find for us actually as workers, we don't call it productive employment because we have not reached there. We have tried to lower the government. When you read a certain book called the Maslow theory, there are 5 theories. And when you look at the needs down, the last one, psychological needs, which talks about decent work, what is required for a worker to achieve or to benefit. For us in Uganda, we first sweat to request for, like shelter, water, food, necessities that a worker is not supposed to ask for. But you find us what? Gambling. So we have not reached productive employment as Ugandan workers.
Well, Ismail, when you talk about productive employment, and we are looking at mitigating the impact of COVID-19 through the parish development model, help us understand where is the connection?
Yeah, first of all, with the parish development model, if implemented well and the way it was designed, there is hope that it can help at least give people what we call productive employment in such a way that, I think agriculture covers almost, I think 80% of the workers in Uganda are agriculture. They practice agriculture, and most of the people, majority of them, it is done informally, and at the moment, mainly subsistence. It means people just farm and they get what to eat, but they don't produce enough to put on the market, at least to earn some income. So the parish development model's main target is to improve the agricultural value chain, such that the farmer on the ground can have the capacity to farm and to grow crops and cash crops, mainly on a commercial level. For example, one of the targets is at least to provide them financial capacity. Yeah, through the circles, they form the circles, the enterprise circles. Government can put some money such that the farmers can get some money to buy inputs to at least to improve the level at which agriculture is done. such that they can have enough fields to do it commercially. So it will be putting money in the whole value chain, whereby the value chain includes the storage, it includes the marketing, it includes the packaging, all those areas. So it is systematically putting money in the whole value chain, such that it can earn more than it is done. Instead of selling raw material, mainly raw crops. For example, if it is maize, it can be grown in a good environment, in good quantities, and it can be processed and maybe sold somewhere in South Sudan in a form that brings good money to the farmers.
Therefore, creating that is productive employment to the farmers, because when you look at increasing production, procession, storage, value addition, then marketing, like rightly said, there a farmer will be going into that. Well, that is one of the pillars of the 7 of the parish development model. Now, Geoffrey, let's also understand, when we talk about productive employment, what are some of the challenges or the bottlenecks to this in our country today? Because you'll find that many people will tell you, if I were in Uganda, some foreigners come here, and you hear them tell you that if I was in this country, I'll be richer than I am in my country. You ask them why. Someone touches the soil and says, there's gold here. Are you going to ask, where is the gold? Because gold is in some parts. But this one's saying, where we are standing, this fertile soil is gold. So what are some of these bottlenecks? Because we seem to have what it takes, but we are not using what we have.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let us look at employment. The outcry out there is that we have unemployment in this country. But I want us to believe that it could be there, but it's not so alarming. The truth is, we are unemployed. And then the vital question is, why are we unemployed in this country? The youth are mostly unemployed because of one basic thing. There is a mismatch between the skills and the job requirements. And that is why you see that you find that you will employ somebody, but you will not get the maximum potential out of that person. So I think that is a very challenge because of that mismatch. Our system of education is mostly theoretical. It's not relevant to the job market. And I think we had some studies, and the government has also been involved in this, to the extent that the employers are now part of the curriculum development system, because we want a labor market that is demand driven, not simply institutions churning out graduates who are not relevant to the job market. And that is one of the biggest challenges that we have got today. Our curriculum is not related to what we want. We adopted something from the colonialists, but it is not workable here. So the emphasis now, I think you can see that there is now more emphasis on skills development, and that is why the vocational training institutions are now more pronounced, because those who come from the universities barely have the theory, but they have no usable skills. And I see it as a major challenge. If that could be solved, then I think we are good to go.
In the parish development model, we know that now the parish is going to be the center or the pivotal point of all government planning, government budgeting, and of course anything now government has lowered to that lowest unit of administration, which is the parish. How is then this going to address the issue you've just raised?
You know what is happening today? Today, even if you never went to school, through DIT, you can be tested according to what you are capable of doing. You will be tested and even given a certificate. So that when you travel from Kamuli to Mbarara, no one will ask you that what is your qualification. You demonstrate what you can do, and that is what we will do. Because what we are looking at is production. one specializes in something and you become the best at that practice. So at the parish, I'm sure, addresses the issue of skills, because there is no way, Mr. Kalanda has spoken of the value chain. There is no way you will improve on that value chain or in all aspects if you don't touch skills. So the skills are going to come from down, from the parish level, from the local farmer, the peasant who is growing maize. As long as you're going to sell the maize, they will be imparted with certain skills to be able to do something perfect. And that is what will translate even up to the bigger organizations.
Okecho, coming from a union that brings together over 24 affiliated national unions, when we talk about that is productive employment, you're the people that are workers, and here you come together. Help us better understand how best can we achieve this in our country?
Okay, thank you. That's a good question, my brother. The first issue is about the challenge that we have as workers. In Uganda, the government does not respect the laws. The labor unions, the government thinks that we are enemies. In the process of this parish model, can you imagine we are not consulted? Can you imagine we are not part of the whole thing? So for us, we feel that government should really come down and understand and respect the law through the tripartite body.
Must you be part? Because when you look at the structure
Yes.
of how everything is going to be done,
Yes.
where and why would you be part of it?
The
Because
issue-
we know now they are looking at household incomes.
Yes.
The government this time has gone down
Yes.
to family level, even to household level, people that live
Yes.
or cook together. And
Very
it's
good.
saying, fine,
Very good.
planning, let it start from there.
Very good.
You know, form enterprises if you're doing something similar.
Okay.
Then for us, you're bringing services closer to you.
Okay.
Now, unions, where do you want to be?
My brother, the issue is one. There's no way you are going to plan for the other lower person when the worker here is not happy, when the worker is not motivated. Who is going to perform this duty? Who is going to sensitize people? We have the labor force. We have few as workers. You find the one person is controlling the whole, maybe office, is tired from morning to whatever. How do you expect that person to execute these duties? When you look at minimum wage, we don't have minimum wage in Uganda. How do you expect the workers to perform its role up to the what? Up to the end. So those are the challenges. Decent work. We have a challenge. This parish model is very good, but are you really in with the workers that they should help you to drive it? As my moderator, are you aware government has come up with many programs and reached on the way and they fail? Do you know why? Because we are not part. Workers are not involved. You see? So that is the main challenge that for us we see government when it comes up to the program, please work and respect the law by employers, workers, government. Work together in order to help our what? You can find abuse of unionization. You reach a workplace, the management is telling you that my workers are okay. They are abusing the workers by not allowing them to enter the union, to join unions.
It is voluntary also.
It is voluntary, but my
Yes,
brother, it
voluntary.
is, yes, it is, you know, if you look at the advantages of belonging to union is more than not belonging to union. And that's why most workers are suffering. Because when the management deceives them that, you know what, unions are bad, then they also sit down. But I want to assure the workers in this country, if we are to move to a certain level, we must embrace working together as unionists and join unions. You can find when you go out of the country, you find these our friends investors who come here, they don't want unions, some of them, not all. But when you go to their country, almost every worker is what? Is unionized. But here, no. You find actually not respecting the law. Recently, we are going for Labor Day celebration. The Minister of Labor went to one of the factories, and employer, the small or whatever, they refused the minister to enter. So it means there is a lack of respect to the law. Where is the government to sensitize all the investors to understand that workers in Uganda need to be organized, need to be monitored? Do they have OSH? The minister was going there to check what is the working condition of my people. It was stopped. And this is what, for us as workers, we request the government.
So you request to be involved?
Yes.
At stages of planning for you to feel your part
that is
of really this program that government believes will create more.
And they will be very successful.
Now I want to bring in here, that is Ismail. You're from the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Yes. Now, what have you done to ensure, or what measures have you put in place to ensure that there is productive employment for Ugandans? Because much as we're all looking at the Parish Development Model, which you well explained, this is a vehicle that is going to get us there. But what other mechanism or means are you putting forward?
Yeah, first of all, the government is trying to ensure that workers can meet what we call productive employment. First of all, we have set up and we are in the process of setting up and strengthening a national productive center. So there is already a committee has already been established, and this committee will have to be the think tank to scrutinize, put up strategies, and ensure that we can recommend and put up processes that can improve the productivity of the workers. Yeah, even as government, we have a number of projects, although it is not on a very big scale, but we have some projects that are...
You have a number of projects that are not on a very big scale. What does that mean?
Because, of course, it cannot cover all workers. That is what I mean. For example, we have the National Apprenticeship and the Graduate Volunteer Scheme.
Okay.
Yeah, this scheme tries to skill and unskilling these youth, especially those ones who have just left university or institutions, where we place them at certain workplaces, at least for 1 year, and we ensure that they can get employable skills. Then after, we release them to the job market. Others, we also have a green incubation project. We have what we call the Shanghai Model. So we have a number of projects and skilling institutions that we set up in Kampirinsa. And here there are model farms or model projects, especially some of them emphasizing organic farming. And we get teams from rural areas, from all areas in Uganda, where they come, we skill them, and we give them skills on how to, at least to manage the green environment. We also have the Green Jobs and the Fair Labor Market Program. This is a program I think many of you have been seeing the President and other leaders giving out equipment, generators, washing machines, and even this week, tomorrow, also at the Uganda Museum, there are also more equipment that is going to be given out to some of the, especially the youth. We mainly emphasize on the Juakali. Juakali is informal, the ones who work in the informal sector. Yeah. So we give them this equipment, we train them on how to use them, and at least ensure that their jobs can have more quality. If someone today is using the hand to wash a motor vehicle, you can give a generator and a washing machine. Today, if you could only wash 20 cars in a day, then he can maybe wash 100 cars in a day. So that is how we are trying to strengthen and make this people's work more productive and strong. So we like I said, we have set up the center. It is going to be a think tank, and we are hoping we shall do more research and innovation and ensure that we can make work more productive in Uganda.
This is where I bring in now Geoffrey. You've given us some of these interventions. Geoffrey, from the FUE perspective, what is your assessment on government's interventions aimed at ensuring productive, that is, labor when it comes to our country? Because it's mentioned a number of them. What has been your assessment?
Of course, as employers, we welcome the government's interventions as he has stated them, but the challenge is that the pace at which the government moves is what causes us a problem. Otherwise, the interventions are good. Of course, the think tank would give us direction, but the most important thing in this aspect is the measure of efficiency, because that is now we have to value and measure work against time. We are a business community. We have competitors, and the intervention has not yet addressed that aspect. The Juakalis, like he's talking about, those in the informal, no one knows where they are. They don't pay taxes, and yet they are directly competing with us in the formal sector. So I think the government interventions, somewhere they are lacking, and I would like to encourage the government to put all of us at the same footing. And also probably the other intervention will be to avail capital, make capital cheap, because right now the loans, the interest rates are too high, and it will be very difficult. Yet we are making a contribution. But if the government could control credit, and at least we have something that we can borrow from reasonably and pay at reasonable rates. And also, because right now what the government does is getting money and giving to some interest groups, but these people are not yet trained to be able to invest that money. We would be able to work together and show them, because eventually, if we are to manage, we are customers of each other. And our biggest raw material is produced by the informal sector. So we'd like to encourage the government just to formalize so that we can do things more formal, and I think we shall get there.
Okecho, when we talk about that is productive employment, as COFTU, what are you doing away from saying, here we come together, we are workers, we are advocating for our rights, we are also peeping into the parish development model and wondering, where are we? How can we help? How can we promote this? What have you done towards this direction?
Oh, thank you, my brother. One, COFTU came up with an institution, an institute. That in that institute, we are trying to give our workers ideas in many areas. You know, some workers think that it's only salary that can sustain them. But we have gone beyond the salary. We are saying, workers, come and learn. Know your rights, have skills, get involved in entrepreneurship skills, and so many others. So for us as a COFTU, we have a place that we have already formed a think tank. Already members are coming, because we made a lot of research. You remember those days, somebody could get to 60 retirement age and is being laid off to maybe the residential, whatever. I said, where do I go? But now we are telling them that prepare your exit before time. You are getting small salary, but now with that small salary, plan. And we give you the idea according to the area that you are in. And then also the area of motivating the workers. Government should motivate the workers, not only to increase the salary. There are so many areas. And if we want workers to really come up with productive ideas and everything, you must motivate the workers in so many areas. Not only to say, you know, I have increased your salary to this when the working condition is bad. No, look beyond. So all of those things, we tell our people that, come, sit here. What is your area? You say this, okay. How many hours do you have in a day? And what do you do? Then how about the rest of the hours? What do you do? Others say, I go to the... No. Now, the free time, do this. So that to sustain, to cover the other gap that we are going through. Because things are not what? You can see how the struggles we are going through. Actually, the economy now is beyond even the corona. Because fuel is almost 7,000. Now, workers' salaries are not increased. And they are supposed to move. They are supposed to take children to school. They are supposed to eat. So the necessities, we are trying to make sure that our workers get ready for any eventualities.
So they have shock absorbers in that way, upon retirement and even when situations are not that
when situations are not balancing.
So you're keeping them with that skills.
Yes.
Very interesting, because you all know that really it is a time when people... this brings me back to the ministry man.
Maybe before you go to this man, there's something important I'd forgotten. And he reminded me when he touched on the high rocketing prices. There is the question of subsidies. I think among the government interventions, they should include subsidies on production cost. Because here the power is expensive. Fuel, as I said, is very expensive. Everything is expensive. And the enterprises have to transfer this to the consumer, which is really not fair, because as he has said, the rate of the rate at which the prices are going up is not moving in tandem with the salaries. But then we have to break even as enterprises. So I think that is something that is critical that the government should start thinking about, like it's done in other countries.
Well, we're still looking at mitigating the impact of COVID-19 through enhancing, that is, productive employment through the parish development model. Now, the gentlemen I have with me are coming from different backgrounds altogether, but in the name of ensuring how do we enhance productive employment so that a person does not only live hand to mouth, just like His Excellency has spoken regarding the parish development model, that we need to transform this peasantry society, that they go to the garden, fetch and a chonka. You grow what to eat, nothing else. We need to see that people are in employment that is productive and meaningful to them. May I want to add meaningful employment in addition to productive employment. But as we get closer to winding up this program, let's look at what is that you feel can be the magic bullet to get us there, of course with more specification into the parish development model.
Yeah, already one of the things that is very key that we've begun with as the ministry is mobilizing the people and changing their mindset. So the ministry has conducted a number of trainings, a number of advocacy events in order to change the mindset of Ugandans. Because, you know, Ugandans, first of all, especially the youth, they despise agriculture. Yeah, they think it can really not work for them, but we need to ensure that we change the mindset of the people. Instead of selling off land and buying borders, you show them that the land is more valuable to your life than a border. So they can stay in the villages, they can stay in the rural areas, government can bring the social services closer, and then they can pull themselves out of poverty through agriculture. And the government at least is committing itself. I think this financial year, it is more of the preparatory phase, and government will just provide, I think, like 17 million to each parish. But for the next year, financial year, the president has pledged at least 100 million for each parish. And the first step is at least to provide some financial capacity through these circles, the enterprise circles that have been established. these farmers can access some little money to buy equipment, to buy inputs, to buy fertilizers.
So at exactly which stage are you? Because the parish development model has 7 pillars.
Yes.
And you're now talking about financial inclusion, which is not among the first 2 pillars. So have we already reached that? Because when you talk about these households forming enterprises where the big circle, the parish, will enable them get money onto their accounts, I see like this is more of putting the cart before the horse. Are we yet there? What level are we at?
Yeah, first of all, what we should know is that the parish development model is mainly putting money in agriculture, and this is not the beginning of agriculture. The systems are already in place, because already as the ministry at the moment we have been doing the mobilization and the mindset change, and because at least the commercial officers are mobilizing also the workers and the farmers to get into the enterprises, and we are already building on what we already have, because even the Emioga that is already ongoing has also been working through almost the same system, through the circles, the enterprise circles. So at the moment we are still strengthening and setting up the systems and doing the mindset change. As the Minister of Gender, for us our main emphasis, that is why it is in the mobilization and changing the mindsets of especially the youth, for them to embrace the program, all the people to embrace the program and support it.
Very interesting. I'll have your final remarks, Okecho.
Thank you. My final remarks is to request the government, like His Excellency the President, to sign the minimum wage bill, so that it gives the workers at least a certain standard. Because when you look at the salary that workers are getting, it is wanting. So before even implementing all this, we would request minimum wage to be put into place. You will see how workers will do their best to make sure that the production is now doing it well. And then also to request the government that involve the workers in all programs that is coming out if you want to benefit. Because leaving us out, you will always go through those challenges of people going to Luzira, others going where, police and what have you. So it involves us to cross-check. Because you can find of recent a big government official driving from here to either Bundbujo or whatever to monitor something very small. And yet we have organized labor who are already there. Just use 500 shillings to buy airtime and say, there is this one did not move well. They bought this, but this one is not well. Let us whatever. So it will cut costs in many areas. Then decent work. The employers, our brothers, you tend to provide the best decent work to the workers in order for you to benefit. Because when the workers are happy, even they do more. But when workers are not happy, they give stories. I've lost somebody, I may be sick, my car's got a problem, there is this and that. You see, so it means there is a problem. And then the area of other employers, please provide the best PPI. You find people working in a condition that is wanting.
Protective equipment.
Equipments. Provide so that the workers are protected. Because by losing one worker who's experienced to replace, it will be a big what? A big
that is a man from the union. There is so much that he can talk regarding workers' rights, but that will take me to Geoffrey as we wind up. What are your final remarks?
First of all, the government, I think, needs to put a lot of infrastructure in place, because this parish development model is if it has to trickle well down to the household. Most of these are in the rural, because I know the parish development model is not mostly focusing on us in the cities, but those in the rural, because that's where the problem really is. I think the infrastructure needs to be developed. Mr. Kalanda referred to somebody selling land to buy a border. There are factors driving them to do that. If the level down there, if they had access to a lot of things, then those would not be happening. So I would like to urge the government to develop infrastructure throughout this country and also fight that monster. What my brother is referring to is being polite, but the truth is that we have a lot of corruption in this country. That's why a minister has to travel from here to Bonivijo to go and monitor. He's trying to make ends meet, get some allowance here and there. Otherwise, if the government does not eliminate corruption and all these other intermediaries, then I don't think we shall be solving the problem. The parish development model is well intended, and then the man also should not be dished out to those parishes before they are sensitized on how they should utilize the money. And that is one area that the Federation is very passionate, and we have trained the people where we can assist the government to train the people so that by the time they get the money, they know where to invest. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you so much, gentlemen. Our viewers, we've been discussing that is mitigating the impact of COVID-19 by ensuring that is productive employment through the parish development model. I must say there's so much that I believe these gentlemen have talked about. Well, we believe it's the parish development model that is going to improve household incomes. Let's all support this. And of course, let's ensure that everything that is required is put in place. If all the 7 pillars are well implemented, I have no doubt that we shall see transformation, we shall see household incomes improved. Have a lovely day. God bless you. See you tomorrow.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
The Kavaka Birthday Run 2022 is back.